Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Steph. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my 2022 wrap up. We are in 2023, that is crazy, and this is kind of coming out a little bit late, but I'm excited to tell you all the 55 books that I read last year. If you guys have been watching my channel, you know that at the end of the year I actually moved, so the majority of the end of my year I didn't read as many books as I normally would, and it kind of put me on a slump, but I'm back at reading this year, and I am excited to give you a wrap up of all of the books I read last year. Just so like anybody's wondering, I'm currently not wearing my glasses because I needed to use my ring light to film this video, and I filmed an intro for my last video that I recently filmed. That's why I'm wearing the same top, and the glare on the glasses was just terrible, so I'm going to just not wear them for the sake of it not being annoying for you guys watching to just see that glare in my glasses the whole time I'm talking, because it was insanely annoying to me. So I could just imagine what it's like for people watching the video. But yeah, let's get right into it. I'm going to tell you all of the 55 books that I have read. I'm going to go through them pretty quickly, since I did read 55 books, and I'm going to just tell you my star rating and all of that on them. But I'm not going to go into too much detail. You can see in my monthly wrap-ups that I did. I discussed every single one of these books, besides the last one, which I will talk about, and let you know my thoughts on it. So yeah, I'm going to be looking through my journal here, and naming off all of the books that I read and what I rated them, so you can make a judgment for yourself on whether you would like to pick up the books. So starting off the year, I'm actually going to just put the pictures of the books on the screen, which I know is not as fun than holding up like the actual book, but it just seemed like a lot of time, and I really wanted to get this video out to collect all of the books off my shelves, since some of these I've read on my Kindle, some of them I read on paperback. But yeah, let's just get right into it and discuss, starting from number 1. Alrighty, so starting off the year, the first book that I read was November 9 by Colleen Hoover. I rated this 5 stars. You know how much I love Colleen Hoover if you watch my channel. Sorry if you can hear my cat's bell. She has been running around like crazy when I'm trying to film, of course. Second book I read was another Colleen Hoover, which was Verity. I gave that one 5 stars. I don't normally read thrillers, but I absolutely loved that book. Then the third book I read was It Ends With Us. I gave that one 5 stars as well. Definitely not my favorite Colleen Hoover book, but I really did love it. Then we're getting into February. I've got one more Colleen Hoover in a row. Here we've got Reminders of Him. This is when, not long after it came out, and I gave that one 5 stars. The next book that we have here is Dirty Letters by Vi Keelan and Penelope Ward. I gave this book 5 stars. I wrote in here like, this wasn't just a spicy book, it was a really great romance. My favorite part about this book was the mental health representation. The main character was super relatable in dealing with anxiety and depression. I really liked the book. It was equal bits sad and spicy. I thought it was a really good storyline. Then I read The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. My best friend recommended these to me, and I had heard of them, but they're more like YA, so I never really picked them up, but I ended up getting the box set of them. I gave the first one 4 stars. I said I really like this book. Definitely would have loved it more if I was reading it at a younger age, which I totally agree. I might have rated it higher if it sort of was more relatable at that age. Now I've read some more adult romances. It definitely would have been more enjoyable at a younger age. Then I got back into Colleen Hoover and I read Regretting You. This one I wasn't too sure about going into it, but I rated it 5 stars. And I even said in my comments here I wasn't sure when I read the back of this book, but I loved the dual point of view between mother and daughter. There was lots of twists and turns that I didn't expect, like any Colleen Hoover book. And then we're getting into March. So coming in at number 8, I read Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. I gave this a 5-star rating. I read this on my Kindle, and I really enjoyed this book. It was a friends to enemies to lovers, sort of like a bully romance, which is not really my thing, but I really enjoyed it. Then I got into like a Penelope Ward kick. I picked up Step Brother Dearest. I saw somebody on BookTube recommended that I was watching. I can't remember her name, but she was talking about some Penelope Ward books. I thought I would pick this one up. This is definitely a taboo romance. It is a stepbrother and stepsister relationship. They have no relation whatsoever. It's her stepdad's son. Still seems kind of weird, but I really enjoyed the book. And then I read Room Hate, which I remember this one being really good. I rated it 4.5 stars. Then I read another Colleen Hoover book. I read Heartbones, which is more of her YA. This one I gave 5 stars. Really enjoyed this book. And I wrote that I really liked the way that the title connected to the storyline. I always love when you hear the name of the book, or the title of the book I should say, mentioned in the story, and how the title connects to the storyline, why it was named that. So I think that was like one of my favorite ways that the title tied into the book. And coming in at number 12, I read The Crush by Penelope Ward. I rated that 4 stars. I said I just love a good brother's best friend forbidden romance, especially with spice. So that one was really good. Coming in at number 13, I then read another Penelope Ward, which I gave 5 stars, and that is Gentleman Number 9. This one was about a girl who's has her best friend, but like he was like, they hadn't seen each other in a while, so it was kind of like weird between them, and I think they originally always had like a thing for each other, but basically she just broke up with her boyfriend. She hadn't really been with anybody in a long time, so she decides to hire this escort named Gentleman Number 9, and then things happen from there. I don't really want to give away the synopsis, but I really enjoyed that one. Then I read number 14, which was another Penelope Ward. It's called The Anti-Boyfriend. This one here I was surprised that I liked. I didn't know going into it that it was a single parent trope. It's like single parent meets boy next door. I love the relationship in the book and the way the male character took care of her and her daughter. It was really sweet. We're going into April. In April, I started reading some Elle Kennedy. The first book I read by Elle Kennedy was The Deal. Gave that one 5 stars. Garrett Graham, I just loved him. I loved the relationship in this book. And then the next book I read, another Elle Kennedy, I decided to continue with the series. I read The Mistake. I rated that one 4.5 stars. Really enjoyed it. I definitely feel like I liked the series a lot, and I'm still going to continue on with them. I actually recently just purchased the books, but I feel like the first one I gave 5 stars, the second one I gave 4.5 stars, and then the third one, which was The Score, which I read right after that, I gave 4 stars. I just feel like none of them compared to the first book, but I'm excited to continue on and read the Briar U series as well. Coming in at number 18, I read Christina Lauren's Love and Other Words, and I gave that one 5 stars. I loved that book. That one got a lot of hype on TikTok. I feel like I read it before it got a lot of hype. And then coming at number 19, I read Ali Hazelwood's The Love Hypothesis, which I gave 5 stars. I absolutely loved that book. One of my favorite books I read that year. Okay. Coming at number 20, I read Elena Armez's The Spanish Love Deception. This one was really hyped on TikTok, so I decided to check it out. I really liked the book and I gave it 5 stars, but I will say that the beginning was kind of slow and it kind of like made me question whether I wanted to DNF it, but I stuck through it and I absolutely loved the book in the end. Number 21, I read Helen Huang's The Kiss Quotient. This one was really good. It has autism representation in it, kind of like a shy girl hires escort to be her boyfriend. It's a really good book and I definitely recommend it. Coming in at number 22, I read Christina Lauren's The Unhoneymooners. I gave this one 4 stars. This one was really hyped again on TikTok and I didn't enjoy it as much as everyone else did. I felt like it was kind of very slow in the beginning. Then when they got together, it was like very rushed. I feel like there wasn't enough of them together before. Obviously there's always some conflict at the end where it breaks them up for a little bit and then they get back together in the end, like any romance book. I just felt like there wasn't enough of their relationship together for me to be rooting for them. So I didn't enjoy it as much as everyone else did. I will say that. I gave it 4 stars. It definitely reminded me of the movie Just Go With It by Adam Sandler. Similar vibes. That I read Emily Henry's Beach Read, which I gave 5 stars. Really loved that book. Again, the beginning was kind of a bit slow, which made me kind of iffy about whether I wanted to continue reading it, but I definitely enjoyed the ending. Then I got back into Colleen Hoover and I read Confess, which I gave 5 stars. I loved the art in this book. I went to art school. I've talked about this book on my channel before. I absolutely loved it. I definitely want to do an updated talking about Colleen Hoover books. I have one on my channel, but I've read a few since then. So once I've read, I would say a couple more, I'll definitely do an updated one and like give you my rankings of which ones I think are really good and I recommend reading before others. Then I read some more Colleen Hoover. We're into the Maybe series. I read Maybe Someday, which I gave 5 stars. I gave Maybe Not 5 stars, and I gave Maybe Now 5 stars. That is a 3-part series. It's 2 books and 1 novella in the middle. I really enjoyed them. And yeah, I don't want to give the storyline away of them. I didn't know anything going in those books, which I liked because I didn't expect the storyline and like what the characters were dealing with. The next thing I picked up was a book by Lauren Asher. This was my first book by Lauren Asher. Definitely not my last. This one is Throttled. I really liked it. It's about like, I think it's called F1 Racing. I really liked the relationship between the 2 characters. But then I decided to read the second one, Collided, which I gave 5 stars. And I loved this one just a little bit more. I know a lot of people like the first one, but I think a lot of people say that their favorite is the last one, which is Redeemed. I stopped at the second one, but I do want to pick up more of Lauren Asher's books and continue the series. I just decided to do these 2 and I kind of teared off from that, I guess, and started reading something else. But the second one was my favorite because it had like more art aspects and things in it. Like I said, I went to art school, so I really like reading about like artsy books and things, because it's obviously something I'm interested in. But who knows, the third or the fourth one could be my favorite depending on when I get a chance to read those. Alrighty, coming in at number 30, we've got Penelope Douglas, Credence. This book is very hit or miss for people. It was like a 486 page book. It was quite large. I read this on my Kindle. I really liked it. It was messed up. It was taboo, but I enjoyed it. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I really liked it. And then I decided to read Birthday Girl, which is another taboo age gap romance. Gave that one 5 stars as well. Everything I've read by Penelope so far I've given 5 stars. I'd like to get into reading some more of her books. After that, I picked up Mia Sheridan's Archer's Voice because this one was being raved about everywhere. I really liked the relationship in it. I just wrote, love this book. I knew before I was even halfway through it I was going to be giving it a 5-star read. I could definitely see this becoming a movie, one of my favorite reads so far this year. After that, I decided to continue on and read the rest of the Summer I Turned Pretty series. So I read It's Not Summer Without You, which I gave 4 stars. And then I gave the last one, You'll Always Have Summer, 5 stars. I just like the way that it wrapped up the series. Like I said, they probably would have gotten a higher rating if I had read them when I was younger. And I read Alex Light's The Upside of Falling. It was just like a book that I had seen on BookTube, and it's quite an older book, I think. I liked this book, but I didn't love it. I gave it 3 stars. It was quite a shorter book. I feel like it almost could have been a novella. I don't know what it is about it. It was just, I think it was more because it was YA and I had read so many like very intense like taboo romances, dark romances, that kind of thing, that this just like was something like light and fluffy, and it was nice to have like a break from something and do something different and read something different, I guess I should say. But it wasn't my favorite. Then I picked up my first book by Beth O'Leary, which was The Flat Share. I gave this one 4 stars. I thought it was cute, but I felt like it was very like long and stretched out, and I didn't love it. I didn't love that there wasn't a whole lot of romance in it, I guess, and then it took the characters a while to get together. It was basically a book about 2 people who share a flat, or like an apartment, I guess you would call it, and one like works days, one works nights. They never really see each other, but they write each other notes, and they kind of like fall in love with each other through that way. I did like the premise of the book. I just felt like it was kind of slow at times, and I found myself at times just wanting the book to be over, but I did enjoy it, I guess. It just wasn't my favorite. Then I picked up Tessa Bailey. So I picked up It Happened One Summer. These are the first 2 Tessa Bailey books, but I did love the second one more. Just liked Fox and Hannah's story more than Piper and Brennan, I want to say, or Brandon. I'm surprised that I remembered some of them, because I'm really bad with character names if you've watched my videos. Then we're getting into June. I read Carly Fortune's Every Summer After, 5-star read. Absolutely loved that book. Can't wait for more of her books to come out. Coming in at number 40, I read This Summer Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. This is the first book I've picked up by K.L. Walther as well. I really liked this book, and I think that there is a second one coming out. I think it's part of this series. It has a very similar cover, or it could already be out. I just haven't read it yet. This was a 5-star read. I really enjoyed it. This is I love the family dynamic in this book. It really reminded me of my family and the gatherings we used to have. I also have a reading vlog on this book. It was really good. After that, I read The Infinity Between Us by N.S. Perkins. Me and my sister both read this one. I remember loving this book so much. It was a 5 stars. I loved second chance romance, and I always talk about the bathroom scene in this book is super funny. Number 42, I read Faking with Benefits. This was a reverse harem, so it was 3 guys, 1 girl. I really liked this book. I gave it 5 stars. Super spicy. It's about this girl that lived across the hall from 3 guys. They end up hanging out together. They all spark a relationship with her. It's very like taboo. It's very different. But I enjoyed the book, and I'm kind of excited to read some more books by that author. I don't actually have the author's name down there, but I will pop a picture up on the screen of the book title so you can see. Then I read One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book made me bawl. I was like on an emotional roller coaster with this book. I was happy at times, I was sad at times, I was bawling at times. Taylor Jenkins Reid is one of those authors that I know going into her like backlist that I'm gonna cry. I'm currently actually reading Forever Interrupted by her, and I'm already like, I haven't cried yet, but I've been so sad. And my sister told me that she actually just finished it, and we're reading it for like a little book club, and she cried at the end, like massively cried. The next book I read was My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. I read this one with my sister, and this one has like thriller and also romance. My sister finished this one before me, and she was like, I know it says like it's a thriller, but honestly there's more romance than thriller in it, so I think you're really gonna enjoy it. So I picked up the book and I loved it. The next book I read was The Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy. This one was really good. I gave it 5 stars. There is 2 other books out in this series. One's coming out this year, which I talked about in my 23 books I want to read in 2023 for new releases. I love that book. I think the next one is called The Bad Reputation or something like that. Not positive. But the next book I read was Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This is the first book I picked up by her, and I loved this book. it was 5 stars. Then I read Twisted Games, and I really liked that one. I think I liked Twisted Games a little bit more than I loved Twisted Love. Twisted Games, I remember being the princess bodyguard romance, which I don't read a whole lot of, but I really enjoyed. And then I read Twisted Hate, which is, everyone says is their favorite. I really liked that one, but personally it was my least favorite of the series, which I know is going to be a big thing. I really liked it. I gave all the books in the series 5 stars, but that one was my least favorite. My favorite was Twisted Lies. I loved the romance between Christian and Stella. It was my favorite one. It was also the longest one, but the one that I enjoyed the most. Coming in at number 50, I read Misfit by Elle Kennedy. This was a book that I had read on my Kindle, and I loved the book. I gave it 4 stars, and I was gonna rate it a little bit under that. I was gonna rate it like a 3.5, but then the ending was so good. I think she's bringing out the new one this year, and I think it's called Rogue, which is a continuation of it. It's like the prep novel series. I really liked it. I didn't love Misfit as much as I liked the off-campus books, but I really did like it. And then at number 51, I read Under One Roof by Ali Hazelwood. This is one of her novellas. I rated it 4 stars. Then I read Stuck With You by Ali Hazelwood, another novella. I rated that one 5 stars. And then I read Below Zero, the last novella by Ali Hazelwood, and I rated that one 5 stars. This year she actually is coming out with all 3 of them in one book. I love the covers for these books, and I wish she had like made them into like a little box set or something, so we could have like each one of them with like the covers on them, because I think they're super pretty. The only reason why I gave the first one, the Under One Roof, 4 stars, I just found that like at the end when they were in their relationship, like when they got together, because obviously that's what happens in every romance book, I'm not spoiling anything, I just felt like he was like very insecure, which made it very awkward to read, like especially when they were like having their romance and like the steamy scenes. I don't know, there was just something about it I felt very awkward reading. Coming in at number 54, I read The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I loved this book. It was a closed door romance, which is different from the last few books that I was reading, with them being very steamy or smutty, I guess I would say. But I really liked the relationship, and the friendship in this book was so cute. So I gave it 5 stars. And then the very last book that I read of 2022 was Too Late by Colleen Hoover, which is now my favorite Colleen Hoover book. It's her darkest one, which is about this girl who is dating this like lead drug dealer, and there's this guy who goes undercover to basically make a bust in the drug house, but he ends up having feelings for the girl, but she's like in a very tough spot, a very abusive, bad relationship with the main guy that's in the house. He's like helping provide for her and everything, so it's a very tricky situation. The main guy is also trying to like be undercover but also help this girl get out of this bad situation, because he's falling in love with her. You basically like read that on the back, so I'm not really spoiling anything, and there's like so much stuff that goes on in this book, so much drama, so many things I didn't expect coming. Like any Colleen Hoover, the twists and turns on this book was so good. Highly recommend it. Definitely search up trigger warnings. It deals with like drug use, abuse, lots of violence, but nonetheless it was such a good book. It was like reading a romance mixed with like Criminal Minds. I don't know. It was really good. Feature 70 popping in here. That's why I look different. I forgot when I was filming this video that I had one more book that I had read in 2022, number 56. Come here. Number 56, which is It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. I didn't realize that if I'd flipped the page over in my journal, it was on the other side. I loved this book. I know it was very controversial for everybody saying that it wasn't needed, that they didn't love it. I personally did love it and I gave it 5 stars. I definitely wanted to include it in this video, so I thought I would just pop in and let you know. I did read 56 books. In the outro now, when you see past Stephanie, I continue to say 55 books. It is 56. But yeah, that is my 2022 wrap up. The year has come to an end. It's a new year, new goals. I read 55 last year. I had a goal of 25 last year. This year I've set a goal of 50. So if I reach higher than that like I did last year, awesome, but I don't want to set myself a goal that's way too high that I can't meet, especially since I have other things going on, like to go out with my friends and all that. So a lot of the times reading gets put on the back burner, so if I set a low goal, then I will be more than likely to meet it, and if I surpass it, then that's great. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm excited to film some more videos for you guys, and I hope you guys have a lovely day, whatever you're doing. Leave me a comment down below if you've read any of these books or if any of these are on your 2023 TBR. I hope you have a lovely day and happy reading. Bye.